Greetings. Just hopefully a short clip on Donald Trump and the white supremacy pandemic that affects the world at large and America in particular. First, we need to recognize that America is just the best daughter of what is known as the most oppressive empire in human history, which is the United Kingdom. So now we have a white, and these are words that I hate to say, white supremacy, white privilege. I really don't think they belong in the same sentence. I think it's a disease. And why I think it's a disease is simply because of the fact that the Roman Catholic Church gave them their blessing to invade lands of people who didn't look like them. And in order for them to do that with what you may call a clear conscience, if they can be said to have one of those, they had to justify it within their mind that these people that they were attacking and killing were inferior to them. So they came up with their different ideologies and philosophies to justify their barbaric acts. Fast forward 2,000 years, and you have the United States, which was built primarily off of the massacre of the natives, who at the time the Europeans came happened to be Indians and a few Africans, because there are winds to this day that could have brought seafarers from the African continent to the Americas. There's actually a dust cloud coming from Saharan Africa to the United States in this year 2020 that will have an effect on the hurricane season. So, excuse me. So, these are not myths or just blabberings on my part. These are actual natural phenomena that occur from time to time. So, yeah, Africans who would have set sail back in the day would have ended up in America had their vessels not had the proper sails and stuff. So, and they were Africans here. Besides the fact that they have been known to unearth coins from Africans who had come to these parts to trade back in the day. So they come to the Americas and they slaughtered the natives, and the few that they kept, they realized that they weren't capable of carrying out the tasks of railway building and cotton and corn and tobacco planting that they wanted. But they also realized that in Africa, there were thriving civilizations, pyramids, the Sphinx, you name it, of colossal monuments that were built by the hands of Africans. So obviously, if these people can survive in this treacherous climate, hot climates, and build these structures, then yeah, we could bring them to America. So that's what they did. They got the Pope's blessings. They got European or white unification because all white nations, with the exception of Germany, plundered Africa. That's why you have African countries who are colonies or ex colonies of almost every European nation except for Germany. They attacked together in unison despite their differences in languages, cultures, etc. They did it as a skin color thing, and they plundered and they brought Africans here. Once that was achieved, they set about to build a nation for themselves. So the root, the foundation of America is built on the illusion of white supremacy, which is nothing more than a mental illness that white people develop for themselves to justify their barbaric acts. In 2020, it would be absurd to expect that you will have a general consensus of all white people that this is wrong. Some of them to this day and will go to their graves believing that it is a God given right. That this God that they have created for themselves also sees it fit, right, and just for them to murder anybody at will and take their belongings because somehow or the other, despite having the most inferior DNA composition of the human species, they see themselves as superior. That is a mental illness. And Donald Trump epitomizes that mental illness. So his base will clamber to his heels. They will kiss his foot as though he were the savior, because to them he is the next best thing to Hitler. And there's only, well, I shouldn't say there's one way, but one of the major ways of eradicating that illness is starting with the school and the education system. Because until you start educating the truth to the youth, this will continue. White people will continue to believe that the earth is theirs and it was given to them by their God. So you first need to start by eliminating the lies and the half truths in the education system and everything in the education system that tries to justify white power, that white people created everything. It is impossible for a Greek Pythagoras, whose ancestors were educated by Africans, to be the father of mathematics when the pyramids themselves embody every known mathematical theorem that exists. So they did not discover that. It is impossible for Hippocrates, another Greek whose forefathers also were educated in Africa, to be the father of medicine when to this day there are still instruments used for surgical practices today that are found etched on the walls of pyramids hundreds of thousands of years old. So the whole premise of their supremacy rests on the foundation of their ability to steal and appropriate not only other people's works, but other people's lives. So you eradicate it from the school system, or you turn upon them the same wrath that they've turned upon you. And until we understand that, we will get nowhere. Now, I'm not saying that all whites have this disease, because there are some who have made a valiant effort to educate themselves and are more aware of the facts. They have studied, and just basic self awareness, like questioning themselves, questioning the things they were taught. And they have come to the awareness that a lot of what they were taught is false. But the vast majority still are victim of these diseases. And we can help. We can help. First, we must love ourselves, help ourselves, and show them that we can do it. And like we did back in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the same place where this demon tried to have his rally on the 19th of June, supposedly a day that was significant for the emancipation of black slaves in America. This mentally defunct creature thought that he made it famous, and I'm sure so does his base. So part of the root of their disease, besides being outright evil, is also a lot of ignorance. And until we can educate ourselves and start to rise above it, and instead of doing drive-bys on each other and popping a cap on each other for talking to somebody else's girl or stepping on your shoes in a club and that kind, and turn that wrath and that anger towards the ones who have been turning it on us, we will get nowhere. So think about it and wake up, wise up, and rise up because Black Lives Matter.